Howdy folks, welcome back to the patch 8.5 test server with the mighty Jingles. I'm still labouring away on the test server, bringing you previews of all these new tanks, while you're having your fun and games enjoying the 2nd anniversary special event on the live server. Before we start, I just wanted to mention a couple of things. I can confirm that they have actually increased the top speed of the IS-7. If you look at it in the tech tree, the IS-7 now pulls off 59.6 kilometers per hour as its top speed. There you go, 59.6 kph. It's an increase of 9.6 kilometers per hour over its top speed as it is in the game at the moment. What they have not done is increase the engine power. It's still a 1050 horsepower engine. So that top speed is better, but it's just as difficult to reach that top speed unless you're going downhill. So it's going to be on maps like El Haluf, when you're rushing down into the valley to try to get across and round the corner of the other side, that's going to come in handy because it's going to do over 60 kph going downhill easily. It doesn't reach that top speed any faster than it currently does. Second thing I wanted to do, and I've been meaning to do this for a while, I keep forgetting to do it, is to give a shout out to Black Wolf Graphic Design, who created the new channel logo for my YouTube channel, totally free of charge. Fantastic bloke, did a great job. Thanks very much. You rock. So, moving on. Today, we're looking at the Indien-Panzer. This is the new Tier 8 medium German tank, and it's basically in direct competition against the Panther II. And they're two very, very different tanks. It's not really fair to say one's better than the other. They're both different. So we're going to pull the stats up of the two of them. Let's just make sure I've got the right suspension on. I'm looking at the wrong tank. Sort it out, Jingles. There we go, right. And I'm checking the suspension for a good reason. I'll come back to that later. So, here's the Indien-Panzer's details. And there's the Panther II's details. And straight away we can see that the Indien-Panzer has 1300 hit points, which is less than the Panther II's 1450 hit points. It's a smaller tank than the Panther II, so that kind of makes sense. It also weighs significantly less. Now, even jammed full of equipment like vertical stabilizer, gun rammer, vents, this thing weighs just under 40 tons, whereas the Panther II, without any equipment fitted, 48.44. So you're probably looking at 49 tons for a fully loaded and equipped Panther II. So it weighs significantly more. But the Panther II does have a better engine, 870 horsepower, versus the Indien-Panther's 630. And what that basically means is the Indien-Panther has around 15 to 16 horsepower per ton, the Panther II has 17 horsepower per ton. So the Panther II does accelerate better than the Indien-Panzer, and yet the Indien-Panzer does not actually feel sluggish. It moves reasonably well. Speaking of movement, top speed 50 kph, which ain't bad. Not as fast in a straight line. Top end speed of the Panther II 55, but it's only a 5 km per hour difference, and 50 is still a pretty fast tank. Where it definitely beats the Panther II, and this is why I'm saying these are two completely different medium tanks, is in traverse. The top suspension gives you 38 degrees traverse speed. The stock suspension gives you 34 degrees traverse speed. Way better than the Panther II, and this was always the problem with the Panther II. It was pretty quick, it had a great gun, but it wasn't very manoeuvrable. 29 degrees, not so good. Turret traverse, again, same story. 36 degrees turret traverse, which is highly unusual for a German tank. That's pretty good. The Panther II, pretty standard crappy German turret traverse, and this is why the Panther II was never a very good brawling tank and was better suited to medium and long range work. The Indien-Panzer, on the other hand, is shaping up to be a pretty good brawling tank because it turns very, very quickly and the turret traverses very, very quickly. Now, armour wise, this is another one of those situations where just looking at the raw numbers doesn't really tell you the whole story, because technically it's got worse front armour on the hull. Well, the Indien-Panzer is the same on the hull and the turret. It's 90 at the front, 90 at the sides, 45 at the rear. However, on paper it appears that the Panther II is better, with 100 at the front, 60 at the sides, not as good, 40 at the rear, again, not as good. But the difference between 40 and 45 at the rear is negligible. Garbage is garbage, regardless of whether one's 5mm more than the other. The side armour ain't bad, 90mm, way better than the Panther II's, but still not good enough to really stop anything that gets shot at you. But it's the front armour that's interesting, and that's basically because of that slope. Look at that. Compare that to the sloping, and the Panther II's front armour is sloped pretty well. But it's 100mm to begin with, sloped back at 60 degrees. And that's not bad. But it's got that big old lower glacis. Big old weak spot here as well with a machine gun port. And frontal transmission. Now, I don't know about where the transmission's mounted in the Indien-Panzer. I haven't seen anything that explains that. But look at the difference between the sloping. Look at that angling there, which ain't bad. And look at that. That's phenomenal. That's practically an auto bounce zone. There's going to be... I'll be very surprised if you ever get the upper glacis of this thing penetrated. Lower glacis? Yeah, don't know. Hard to say. I've no idea what the thickness of that is, but yeah, if anybody can hit that, they're going to penetrate it. But it's not a massive target, and it's fairly low to the ground. It's going to be relatively easy to keep your lower glacis covered up, compared to trying to do the same thing with that. Well, actually, no, it looks about the same on the Panther 2. So there's that. But the upper glacis, no chance. Absolutely no chance. That is just about the biggest auto bounce zone I have ever seen. Look at the sloping. It is phenomenally good. It doesn't come without its problems, however. And that problem is, and mid-tier Russian heavy tank drivers, KVs, KV-1Ss, ISs, you're going to know what I'm talking about here. It's an effect that we call a shot trap. Because when a shot hits your armour, if it doesn't penetrate, it's going to ricochet. Now, it will never ricochet into another tank or another vehicle, but it might ricochet and hit your own tank. And if a shot comes in from the front and hits that, where's it going to go? It's going to go straight up, and it's going to go into the gun turret. Basically, the shot gets trapped by the gun turret. And I've played a statistically insignificant number of games in this thing, but I have noticed that it does like to have the turret ring jammed. It does like to have the gun knocked out. Based on my limited experience, it does seem that shots are coming in, hitting this upper glacis without a prayer of penetrating it and going straight up and knocking out the gun or jamming the turret. So that's something to be aware of. I think you're going to go through a lot of repair kits repairing the gun and the turret ring on this tank. Now, speaking of the turret armour, 90mm at the front, but look at the thickness of that gun mantlet. Now, I say this with... Well, again, looking at the front of the thing, you've got a choice. If you can't hit the lower glacis, don't waste your time shooting at the upper glacis. It's just going to bounce. Shoot there or shoot there. At the most, it's 90mm thick and it's completely flat. As for the turret, if you don't know if you can penetrate that gun mantlet, shooting at the turret is a mug's game. Because look, if you can miss the gun mantlet, you're only going to hit this sloped and angled turret side, which is just going to ping right off. This machine gun port here looks like a bit of a weak spot. Commander's hatch at the top, always a weak spot. Your best bet is pretty much from the front always to go for these bits here, because they're just guaranteed penetration spots. However, let's not get too carried away with the armour on this thing. Remember, it's tier 8. You're going to be coming up against tier 9 and 10 tanks. And I don't know how thick that gun mantlet is, but if you can penetrate it, well, let's be honest here, there are going to be tier 10 and some tier 9 machines that are going to be able to penetrate that gun mantlet regardless of, of how thick the armour behind it is. And that has been the case. Playing on the test server, tier 8 machine, you just get into tier 10 games all the time. And the armour of this thing, aside from the amazing upper glacis, which bounces shots like you wouldn't believe, aside from that, the armour on this thing is just completely irrelevant in a tier 10 game. And even if you do bounce shots off the upper glacis, the shells have the penetration to go through your gun mantlet and knock your gun out and kill your gunner and so on and so on and so on. And that's unfortunate because I like this tank. This is a good tank. But playing it on the test server, for a start, everybody's tier 10. And if they're not tier 10, or, they're firing gold at you. So it's very, very difficult to enjoy driving this machine under those kind of circumstances. Often I'll load up a game and I will be the only tier 8 machine. Everybody else is either tier 8 artillery or tier 10 medium or heavy tanks, and I am the only tier 8. There aren't even any tier 9s, and that's just what it's like playing a tier 8 machine on the test server, unfortunately. So the actual games that I've had in this thing have been uniformly awful, but it's not the fault of the tank. It's just what it's like playing a tier 8 on the test server. Now, the gun. And this is interesting, because the Indien-Panzer is the first German tank to get the choice of a 90mm gun. 3 guns. The stock gun is the your bog standard. Every German Tier 6 medium tank gets this thing. The Tiger gets it. It's the 88mm L56. It's all right at Tier 6. You don't want to be using this at Tier 8. You don't even want to be using that at Tier 7. The second gun is the 88mm L71. And you'll be familiar with this because you got it on the Tiger, you got it on the Tiger 2, you got it on the Panther 2. It's that gun on the Panther 2. And it's a great Tier 8 medium tank gun. But here's the new kid on the block. This thing here, the 90mm KWK-54. How does that compare to what is really the only gun you want to be using on the Panther 2? The legendary German 88mm L71. And there's not a massive amount of difference between the two guns, but the 90mm is better. Not by much, but it is better. It is an upgrade. Unbelievably, it actually has a faster rate of fire. And generally speaking, I mean, it's only 2mm difference in caliber, but generally speaking, in World of Tanks, the heavier the caliber of the shell, the longer the reload. Is the usual rule of thumb, and yet it's not significantly faster a rate of fire than the 88, but it is faster, 8 rounds per minute versus the 7.79 rounds per minute of the 88. It also has better penetration, 212 versus the 203 of the 88. In all other respects, they're the same gun, 240 damage, 0.34 accuracy, 2.9 second aiming time. So the aiming time's kind of slow. But the damage is alright, the penetration's not bad, the rate of fire is pretty good. It also weighs significantly less, so, you know, helps with the old power to weight ratio too. So, and one of the things that people ask, should I get the Panther 2? And I'm always saying, it's got the best gun of any Tier 8 medium tank. Well, that's no longer true. Now the Indien-Panzer does. That 90mm, it's not much better than the Panther 2's gun, but it is better. So that was quite surprising. And you're going to be enjoying this gun, because this gun on the Leopard prototype actually gets a rate of fire buff up to 10 rounds per minute with 212 penetration and 240 damage. It's even more accurate, and the aiming time drops down to 2.3 seconds. I think the accuracy goes down to 0.32 or something like that. It's just an incredibly good gun on the Leopard prototype, and it's a good gun here on the Indien-Panzer. Equipment fit? Vertical stabilizer. It can fit a vertical stabilizer, so you put a vertical stabilizer on it. That helps with that horrible aiming time when you come to a halt and you're ready to fire this thing. No brainer, you always fit a medium caliber tank gun rammer you always, if a tank can fit a gun rammer, you put a gun rammer on it. And my personal favourite is always improved vents. This isn't bad at all. Obviously, ammo choices, you've got AP-HE and APCR. No surprises there. APCR, the premium ammo for credits, armour piercing, and HE standard. No nasty surprises. It's pretty much what you'd expect of our German tanks. Research cost? 81,100 XP to research, 2.42 million credits to purchase. Roughly comparable. It costs less to research but more to buy than the Panther 2, but not by much. And one of the other interesting things about it is there's no turret upgrade. So there's actually very little to unlock on this thing. You look at the FUG 7 radio, if you don't already have that unlocked, you've done something wrong. Practically every German vehicle in the game uses it. The second radio, you're going to have to unlock, because you only get it on the Indien-Panzer and the Leopard prototype, so you won't already have the second radio. This engine, you won't already have that engine. You'll have to unlock that. Obviously, the tracks are specific to each vehicle. You may already have the L71 88mm gun, depending on which of the German mediums and heavies you already have. You're going to have to unlock the 90mm. But here's the thing, and this is really, really good news. With all of... let's make sure I've got the right guns on. Yeah, the 90mm gun, the top engine, the top radio, and the stock suspension. You don't have to unlock the suspension. You can do every single stage of the tech tree, leave the suspension till last. And the stock suspension still has pretty good traverse of 34 degrees. All you're getting from the upgraded suspension is obviously increased load limit, which you don't need, because you can mount all of this equipment, all of that equipment, all of the upgrades, plus vertical stabilizer, gun rammer and vents, and still not breach the weight load limit of the stock suspension. So that's fantastic news, and it's great news for anybody grinding this tank. So let's have a look at some of the games, and I warn you, they're not pretty. It's been hard work playing any tier 8 machine on the test server when there are just mountains of tier 9s and 10s on the other team. Let's have a look. So this is your typical matchmaking, driving any kind of tier 8 on the test server. You look at the teams, there's me and an AMX 5100, and everybody else is tier 10. There's an Indien-Panzer on the enemy team as well. He's got it slightly better than us. He's got one less tier 10 shooting at him. But he's the only tier 8 on their team, and everybody else is tier 10. Not a single tier 9. This is test server matchmaking when you're driving a tier 8 tank, I'm afraid. And this is probably going to go pretty much as you would expect. What you will notice is that the second the enemy team see tier 8, they just abandon whatever they're doing and they all start shooting at you. Artillery in particular are absolute bastards for it. T110E4's taking a battering up there. Check out the gun elevation though. Look at that. That is very, very good. The gun depression is also pretty spectacular. Way, way better than the gun depression on the Panther II. Keep an eye open, see if I actually captured a shot of the gun depression. It is very, very good. So the game's been, 4 tanks dead already. I haven't even seen anything to shoot at yet, and I finally catch up with the rest of my team. And a Leopard 1. Yeah, penetrating one of these is not much of a challenge. I even have better armour than he does. So there's my first tier 10 killed. Oh, and there's another one. Right through the gun mantle of the Leopard 1. The one thing the Leopard is not about is its armour. These kills are mounting up. I'm not going to penetrate Jagdpanzer E100 from the front. Oh, another Leopard 1. Rushed that shot, missed it. Didn't give it enough lead time, and unfortunately we've allowed this guy to get round on the flank. He's going to give us problems now. Oh, yeah, if that FB215 wants to drive up there and give his flank to that Leopard 1, he's entirely welcome. And we're just losing tanks all over the place now. We are actually winning. It's not doing that badly. Unfortunately, the guys on this ridge line with me are taking a massive pounding. T57 Heavy's doing all he can. Leopard 1 up there as well. He just took a monster hit. That'll be the enemy 215B or the Jagdpanzer E100. And the gun depression on this thing's good, but it ain't that good. And we've just lost the Leopard. We could have really used his firepower. T57 looks like he's reloading. Come on. And bounced. Dodgy angle. I could have put that shot to much better use into the T57 Heavy over there. Our T57 kills him. He's a one-shot kill now. We just lost our AMX-50B. There goes the T57. IS kills him. I don't have the gun depression to deal with the IS. And I missed the pattern. Damn it! That would have been a useful kill. Suddenly we're not winning quite as easily as we were before, and I'm it now. That's it. There's me and a 215B, and the 215B has his own problems. Oh, great, okay, he kills the Indien-Panzer, who very, very bravely came around to try and get him. I fire and bounce off that 215B. And I just... Oh, I'm in a bad spot. A bad spot. The best thing I can do right now is probably kill that pattern. If he comes round and... if he comes round and lets me take a shot at him, and I can't even try and use this. This guy is covered, but if I back up any further, the Jagdpanzer E100 down the other side of the ridge is going to get shot at. I mean, the 215B donks his shot at the IS-7. Now he's sitting through a 20-second reload. Hello, E100 isn't even looking at me. Alright. Not a bad gun, you know. Penetrating the side of the turret of an E100. Oh, he's turning his gun to face me. Oh, I don't like this anymore. But the rest of the guys are cleaned up the rest of the enemy team. There's only these guys left, and we've got them surrounded. So I just hold them back and give the rest of the team time to get up here. Oh, come on, come on. Come on, give me something to shoot at. I want to kill the pattern. I want to kill the pattern. I want to kill the... No, I'm not going to kill the pattern. So, I don't know if you guys have experienced the same thing, but I've found, from my own personal experience, that it doesn't matter how good a tank is. If your first half dozen games in that tank are crap, you don't like that tank. You have this association in your mind of this tank is garbage. And it's not the fault of the machine. It doesn't matter how good the tank is. Your first half dozen games in it are bad. You don't look forward to playing that tank. And I've had that experience with the KV-1S, for example, where just my first half dozen games were just bad games. I sucked. And I thought, oh, the KV-1S is crap. And I mean, the KV-1S, it's one of the best tanks in the game in its tier. And then I went back to it later and thought, wow, why haven't I played this tank before? You know, this is an amazing tank. And that's what I was trying to... I was very conscious that I was developing this sort of negative association in my mind with the Indien-Panzer. Not because it's a bad tank. It isn't. It's a great tank. But the games that I was getting into on the test server were just like this one over and over and over and over. And then, just as I was, you know, totally ready to wrap my hand in with this tank, trying to get a decent matchup, this happened. It's an assault map on Sand River, and it's pretty much a tier 8 game. There's a couple of tier 7s, there's one very, very unfortunate tier 6 ARL 44, and a pair of T50-2s. The enemy team, yeah, they've got a KV-2, they've got no tier 5s, no scouts. Well, they've got a T71, but this is a good lineup. This is this is unbelievable matchmaking on the test server. So, Sand River Assault. I don't play this very often back on the live server. Let's see how it goes. Doesn't seem to be anybody following me other than the tank destroyers, so let's not just charge. Hello, somebody's gone blue. Not sure why. Oh, spotted. And bang. Don't know who it was hit me there. Probably the T69. Alright. Not a fantastic start. But the gun depression on this tank is really, really good. And then it's that bloody T69 again. He's just knocked my gun out. I didn't actually notice it first. And that cost me a shot on the ISU 152. So then, right, fix the gun. This T69 is going to suffer. I'm going to have him. Yeah, how do you like getting your gun shot at, bitch? And again. Okay, switch target to the T44. The rate of fire is very, very good on this gun. Critted him, didn't seem to do any damage. Can I finish that T69? Probably not. No? Okay. T44. Yeah, he doesn't know which way he's going. Oh, we've got you now. Blown his tracks off. He sees me. Not going to do him any good. I think I just took his other track off there as well. Oh no, he's managed to get moving. Gotcha. So there's kill number 1. T34 giving me his flank. Did some sort of critical damage to him there. Penetrated. Possibly damaged his engine, but it looks like if that was the case, he's used the repair kit. think that one hit. Shot seemed to go wide of where I was aiming, trying to predict the T-34's movement. Okay. Oh, there he is. A couple of medium tanks around the corner from me, but they don't have line of fire, and I can... This T-34's got tunnel vision. He's just sitting there. He's not even paying any attention to the fact that he's repeatedly getting hit from the flank. And now he backs up, but that's not going to do him any good against me. And that one went high. Just putting shot after shot through the side of his turret. And 212mm of penetration is more than good enough to handle the side of the turret of a T-34. Team's not doing well though, losing 3-5. Okay, two mediums around this corner, what have they got? There's a Super Pershing. Yeah, we'll have some of this. Still only the one kill, now we're losing 3-6. This team is hopeless. I had the most rotten luck trying to penetrate this bloody Super Pershing. Perfectly aimed shots at his commander's cupola and the shots just weren't happening. So, we'll go around. Oh, wait a minute, there was two of them, and there's another Indien-Panzer. Oh, crap. Okay, I need to finish this fella off. Right, there's my second kill. Now let's get around the flank of this Super Pershing. Take pot shots on the move as we go. You never know your luck. Oh no, hold fire, and too late. I was going to put a shot into his flank, but somebody else got him. So, 2 kills. I'm pulling the scores back, 6-7. There's a Churchill 7 and a T28 Prototype up there. Churchill 7 I'm not that worried about, not at that range. Oh yeah, thank you. And now the T28 Prototype. And unbelievably, this guy was giving us his side. He only has 50mm of armour there. Three kills. Come on, baby. Come to daddy. But it is not to be. Oh, took a shot there, and I believe it was the Indien-Panzer killed my gunner. Have you noticed the damage that I've taken in this tank? There's a bounce. It's all been the gun or the gunner. To pretty much confirm what I suspected of the whole shot trap thing. Oh, okay, D2 on 2 health. Don't rush the shot. Go through the aiming circle. There we go. 4th kill. Indien-Panzer is well in cover. Okay. Jagdtiger 88's making a run for it. That's a bit brave. Jagdtiger 88 going after a T-71. He needs backup. T-71 on the other hand isn't keen in coming forward because you can see the Tiger behind us. 88 puts one into him. T-71's going to need to go low and around. Got no shots at the Indien-Panzer, so T-71. 5th kill. Let's nail that Indien-Panzer. He knows he's doomed now. There's a Pershing, a Jagdtiger 88 and me moving up on him. We're being capped, however. We're going to need to reset. We've got a medium and a heavy, but that looks like that Tiger's going to reset. There's Top Gun. There's a T-29 over there. And he's shooting at the Pershing. He's not alone. They're all shooting at the Pershing. Got a hit into him. There goes the Pershing. They've pulled the scores back 11-11. They're capping, but with... Oh yeah. Tracked him. 2 more shots and... Okay. Raise my sights. 2 blind shots. Hoping he hasn't repaired. And rewarded with 7th kill. 3 enemy tanks left. We've got this. We've got this. I've still got 600 health. T69, IS6. I can hit the IS6, so we'll shoot the IS6. Looks like we've blown this tracks off. I don't think we have. Well, kill number 8. And I just can't make it 9. So, yeah, that's what you can do with this machine if you get it into a tier 8 game. And so finally, against all the test server odds, I got a game where you can showcase just what this tank can do. And that's not too shabby at all. It's 2000 XP, undoubled, premium account, 45,751 credits, and look at the awards. That's actually my first ever Radley Walters medal. I've scored more than 8 kills in a game before, but that was prior to the Radley Walters medal and the Pools medal being introduced, so that's not bad. Not bad at all. Top Gun as well, obviously. The Master Tanker badge, good stuff. But Jingles, you say, a lot of those kills, you know, those were cheap kills. That was just you one-shotting tanks that were very, very low on health. I mean, you know, shooting tanks that had 7 health left, that's nothing special. Well, yeah, that's a fair comment. And yet we still managed to do the most damage of any tank on the team, despite that. Wow, what a tank. I mean, I like the Panther too, and this is just better. It's in the right hands. This is an incredibly dangerous little machine. It can utterly... It's one of those tanks that if you're top tier, you can easily carry the rest of the team. I'm not saying I did that in this game. I didn't. But if you find yourself in that sort of circumstance, it's one of the tanks where you can earn Kolobanov medals in this thing, no problem whatsoever. It is an incredibly good tank with a really, really good gun. And there, of the 26 shots that hit, 25 penetrated. We did well over 3,000 damage. We were bouncing shots like crazy. 1,200 potential damage received. The tank only has 1,300 health. It's just such a... wow. I really, really like this tank. So, yeah. After an incredibly rocky start, and I must have played 10 games in this thing, and they were all awful. When I finally got into a tier 8 game, holy crap, this tank is good. You German medium tankers, or we German medium tankers, you've got some good stuff to look forward to. This tank is great. The Leopard Prototype is pretty good. The Leopard 1 is amazing. You've got lots and lots of good things to look forward to in patch 8.5. Do yourself a favour, do what I've done, get yourself your VK3002 DB and start grinding XP like there's no tomorrow, because you've got some really, really good tanks to look forward to. As always, folks, take care on that battlefield, and I'll catch you next time.